News boxes in person.
All right, we're going to begin here in a couple seconds. Ensure your cell phones are off or on silent, and council members ensure your microphones are turned on. All right, good evening. Today is November 4th, 2024. It's a committee of the whole meeting for Barberton City Council. Before we do our committee of the whole meeting, though, we do have individual committee meetings this evening, and we'll start with street, sidewalk, and lighting with Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to call the Street, Sidewalk, and Lighting Committee to order. It is Monday, November 4th at 6:01 p.m. Everybody in the committee is present. Myself, Chairman Harris, Councilman Cheatham, and President Greer are present. Everybody else is present, and everybody noted on my paper. We don't have any legislation today. We have nothing pending. I do have some miscellaneous things that I'd like to just give updates on. Worcester Road West has flipped over to the south side. So used to be over on the north side, now it's the south side, still going westbound. Always will be going westbound until the end of the project. Leaf pickup has started, so check the city website for details on what night your leaf pickup is. And street sweeping has finished. We are done with the street sweeping. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, yeah.
Thanks, Todd, for sending that street cutout list.
Absolutely.
One question. There's somebody asked me about the cutout on Brady between 4th and 5th.
Excuse me.
Is that where they have a large area ground out?
I think so.
Okay, so the street department's doing a road repair there. I don't know if it's been put back yet or not.
Yeah, I haven't been down by it. I don't know.
I saw it grounded out.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was more than just a cutout repair. That was street.
So I kind of figured because it was pretty large.
Street doing some mill and fill there also.
Okay. All right, cool.
Street on it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Diadek, nice striping on South Van Buren. Looks good.
Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
We are adjourned at 6:03.
Thank you, Ms. Beck. Next up is Environmental Health and Social Services, Mrs. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Environmental Health and Social Services meeting today, November 4th, in council chambers. The time is 18:03. Members of my committee, including myself as chair, Shorty Griffin, Taylor Thompson, and Justin Greer, are present along with all of the council members and guests noted on my sheet. We have no requests for legislation, no appointments, no pending legislation. Does anyone have anything for miscellaneous discussion from my committee or the body? From the gallery? Yes.
There was a citizen that had a question that they didn't hear the tornado sirens on Saturday. Is that done for the winter? Do we know?
Those are over in October. Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
And so then they'd like take the winter off.
So,
April to October. Thank you.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
In a second?
I'll second.
And we are adjourned at 18:05.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager. Next up is Planning and Annexation and Codes with Mr. Haddock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, Annexation, and Codes. It is Monday, November 4th, 2024, 6:05 p.m. in council chambers. The committee is present, which consists of Councilors Thompson, Harris, President Greer, and myself as chair, and all others noted. No request for legislation. We do have an appointment request, Mr. Aaron Smith to the Barberton Board of Zoning Appeals for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025, ending December 31st, 2027. Did everybody see the resume?
Yes.
Are there any questions on this appointment?
Do
Counselor?
we know if this was the only one we received?
Mr. Mayor?
Which position was this again?
This is Mr. Aaron Smith to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Appreciate it.
Anything else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to call for this appointment?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
That's all we have there. Is there any miscellaneous discussion? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:06.
Thank you, Mr. Addick. And last but not least, Finance and Personnel. Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to bring the Finance and Personnel Committee to order. It is Monday, November 4th, 2024, 6:07 PM here in Council Chambers. All members of my committee are present, which includes myself as chair, Mr. Heidick, Mr. Griffin, and Mr. Greer. All other council members are also present, as well as guests as noted on my sheet. We have a few requests for legislation, the first being a letter from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director for the City of Barberton, requesting legislation to reduce the appropriation in the original budget ordinance in the general fund miscellaneous capital budget by $1,300,000 and increase the appropriation in the general fund transfer out budget by the same amount. Emergency wording and one reading requested, and that is attached. Are there any remarks for this? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call, please?
So moved.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have a letter from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director for the City of Barberton, requesting legislation to appropriate $1,300,000 from the general fund to the water fund. Emergency wording, one reading requested. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have another letter from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director for the City of Barberton, requesting legislation to appropriate $1,300,000 from the unappropriated item of the water fund to the water fund's capital budget. Emergency wording and one reading requested. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call, please?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have a letter from myself requesting resolution to honor and give recognition to Paula Callio for all of her work with various organizations benefiting the students and the community for the City of Barberton. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, can I have a motion to call, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I second the motion.
All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a few appointments as well. The first, Deb Schreiner to be renewed as a board member to the Barberton Community Foundation for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2027. Are there any remarks? Do you have anything you want to add to that? Okay. Hearing none, can I have a motion to call for this appointment?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up, Justin, I apologize if I do not pronounce your last name correctly. Do you want to say it out loud for me one time?
Chenault.
Chenault. Okay, just like it's spelled. I was thinking it was French. Appointment for Justin Chenault as a board member to the Barberton Community Foundation for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2027. And the request letter and resume is attached. Are there any remarks? Yes.
Can I ask Mr. Chenault some questions?
Absolutely. Would you mind stepping up to the microphone, please?
I first asked you guys forgive my attire. My son and I were training. We're still got to do some more, so please forgive me.
That's okay. I've heard a lot of great and impressive things about you, so
Okay.
I'm excited that you're looking to get on the foundation. So knowing the foundation is looking to, do economic development and grow their endowment, what are your thoughts and ideas on how to do both of those?
I think there's a lot of opportunities around economic development in Barberton. I've been really pleased with what the initiative that they started with Main Street and how we're thinking about reusing some of our existing buildings. I think Barberton is poised for some new development and some new breath, and I love what the team has already done. I'm a creative and a visionary in that process and the work that I just do naturally, so I would love to be able to add to what's already existing and understand further how we can support our small business development, come up with more strategies so we can get some work done in those old buildings. And make some affordable opportunities for small business owners as well.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Have you ever applied for anything at the foundation before?
Actually, I have. I applied for the economic development role, as well as for the executive director role as well.
Okay.
And after a few of our conversations with Josh and I, we recognize that this is probably the best fit for me currently right now.
Yeah, you looked like a busy man. That led to
Little
the
bit.
next question.
A little bit.
So you're the director of a CDC, and
Correct.
you're on 3 other board or clubs, or?
Currently, what am I on? I got to look at my calendar, guys.
Sounds like my schedule.
Yeah, so I am. Yeah, which one is which now?
There's your resume.
Yes, there's that one. Yep. So White Rabbit, that's no longer active. As you can see, that was 2023. But yeah, the Immigration Network of Akron, I am on the executive board there, and that's one meeting every other month. Which I'm excited about that one because again, with the new immigration network that you guys have here in Franklin County and been finding work in Barberton, a lot of our work overlaps as that does work specifically with service providers in that network. But the United Way and Out of Time School Network, those are all like daytime meetings, and keeps me on the pulse for additional funding opportunities as well. So
That's good.
busy, yes, but time is available, and I do like understanding. That's something I did consider with this being a 3-year commitment and the opportunity to renew. I recognize that is not necessarily intense, but is the opportunity to be intentional about your work and deliberate about opportunities for growth.
Yeah, see what you can do in the 3 years, and if you're going to continue.
Exactly.
I like that. Are you comfortable questioning things and even voting no?
100%.
Not everybody answers that way.
No. I'm an individual first. I do understand the consensus, but I think there's still opportunity for me to learn about what are the best opportunities for Barberton and at what pace. Again, like I am a visionary and I love to move quick, but understanding sometimes the constraints or just the processes, I'm patient with that process as well. So I don't have a problem saying no.
That's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
I guess this would be a question for Josh. Do you have the desire to get rid of or take over BCDC if he's appointed to being that he's
No.
CDC? Okay.
I like the work BCDC's doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Hyden.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chenault, you're the North Hill Community Development Corporation. My wife's from North Hill. Could you tell me what kind of parallels you see with the North Akron and Barberton?
That's an interesting question. So I think from like a 30,000 foot view, pride in neighborhoods are kind of the same. I think when you think about North Hill residents, whether it's new American residents or just the old African American, Eastern European community, they love their neighborhood. They're proud about their neighborhood, but the process of how they got in the current situation that they are is not necessarily the residents' fault, right? So how do you restore pride through that process of revitalization? And whether that's through arts and cultural programming or through really robust economic development programs, there's opportunities to figure out how to motivate that. And how do you fall in love again with your neighborhood, with your streets and, your commercial corridors as well?
Thank you.
Did you have?
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for coming in, Justin.
Oh, certainly.
First off, community champion, love that.
Sure.
And I just wanted to point out that I'm a huge fan of the Maker to Market programs.
Right on.
So I see that on
I
here.
appreciate that.
So I just wanted to say, looks great.
Right on.
Thanks for all you do in that realm of things.
I'm excited for the opportunity to see what we can do here.
That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Sounds great. Thank you. Are there any other questions or remarks? Mr. Cheatham, you look like you're thinking over there.
No, I'm not thinking.
Okay. All right. Well, with nothing else, do I have a motion to call for this appointment?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
A second.
All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And again, yes, thank you for coming in, and we don't care what you're wearing. I like that you showed up. Not a lot of people show up for appointments.
No, it was important that I'm here. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my insights and a little bit of my thoughts. But this opportunity is huge for me, and excited to work with Josh and you all as well.
Thank you.
You'd have lost points with Steeler gear.
Well, listen, listen, I was disappointed with this one anyway, so that's a real thing.
Chair, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
I don't, trying to scan through it. How long have you lived in the city?
4 years now. This is our 4th year. We're entering our 4th year.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Appreciate it.
All right. Is there any miscellaneous discussion from the committee, from the body? Anything else from the gallery? Mr. Flaker, do you have anything for us this evening? No? All right. Oh, I didn't see you.
No, it was just now. It just come to me. Thank you, Chair. This might not be the appropriate, it's more for utilities, but just wanted a reminder, if you haven't seen yet, the water bills. I've had multiple calls. They haven't went out yet. There was a technical issue. They're going out.
I can expand on it.
I really, yeah, okay. But
I wondered when we'd bring this up.
I sent an email earlier regarding it. So there's a problem with the printer, not our printer, the company we use to print the water bills. I don't know what the problem is, but we sent the utility bills to be printed on October 17th, which is our normal timeline. By the time you get done with the grace period, and then we calculate the bills and generate the export files to send off. We sent them off on the 17th. They got the proofs back to us October 22nd. Immediately after I looked over the proofs, I sent an email back to them saying it looks good, that they're good to print. Found out last week no one has received their water bills. I've reached out to the company. Took them a few days to get back with me on it. They acknowledged that it was a problem, that they need to fix the problem. And so, in my not free time, but in my time this past couple weeks, this past week and a half that I've known the problem, I've been researching different solutions, temporarily and permanently, to address this issue, so we don't have it again. Because to me, it's completely unacceptable. Them dropping the ball like they did, I'm not happy about it one bit, because those water bills should have been out. So,
Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you. I had a resident reach out about not receiving it, and she said whenever she called the utilities department, she couldn't come in and get one like printed for her or have it emailed. Is that true? There's not a way? Because I guess hers like a renter property, so she needs to tell them what they owe.
So, I mean, there is the option of going paperless, or signing up and creating an account. You don't have to go paperless, but you can go onto our website, Invoice Cloud, and sign up for an account. it gives you the capabilities of viewing that month's bill even before it hits the mail. That bill's out there the day after it's calculated. So it's automatically uploaded from our system into Invoice Cloud system. So that is always an option if someone wants to view their bill, create an account on Invoice Cloud, and they can view their bill there. They could sign up for paperless billing. They'll get an email stating what their bill amount is. I'm pretty sure they get an email saying what their bill amount is every single month. Once again,
I get
it's
one,
like right
yeah.
after the
Yeah.
bills are calculated, they get that email.
Okay.
As of printing, the utilities customer service department doesn't print bills. I mean, they occasionally do, but if we get the large influx, they're not capable of printing off like entire city's worth of bills. So I don't know, but I can't speak on behalf of the utilities customer service. That's in the main city building. I'm down the street from them, so I don't know all their processes down there. So
That might be Mr. Shreve.
Mr. Weaver.
Mr.
Probably
Weaver?
Mr. Weaver.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
I would assume that the resident can come in, pay the bill, and get a receipt.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
a
yeah.
good way.
Yeah, and like he mentioned, you don't have to go paperless to see it online. I get the email, you know, you have a new invoice from City of Barberton. I can view everything, pay it online if I want, but I also still get a paper bill.
I get it emailed to me, I get it in the mail, a pigeon dropped one off. I mean, I don't miss a water bill, so I'm just trying to figure out, you know, how to recommend this in the future.
Absolutely. Mr. Harris?
Is there been any discussion about late fees and stuff that may occur with some?
We're not going to charge late fees this month. We understand that it's not giving the customers a lot of time to pay. So we already made the decision. We're not going to penalize people for this month.
Okay, good.
Because, well, it's not the people's fault. It's the company that we contracted with to print the bills.
I just know it took the Postal Service 10 days to get a letter from here to my residence, so. Busy time of the year.
I know.
We added that to the social media post, but not everybody reads the post entirely, so we do get some comments, what about late fees, but it's in there, those will be charged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Harris?
Thank you, Chair. Seems like finance and the utilities customer service could have better communication if we were in the same building. Just putting that out there.
Very interesting.
That's why they make phones and email.
What a wild
Okay,
observation.
is there any other miscellaneous for finance? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Thank you, in a second.
I'll second.
We adjourn at 6:24.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That concludes our individual committee meetings. With no objection, I'd like to roll right into our committee of the whole. Give him that look.
Where's the 3 minutes?
Let's do this.
All right, today is November 4th, 2024. This is a committee of the whole meeting. I call this meeting to order at 6:24 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, citizens addressing council. There were none when I checked, but I'll just double check. All right, there are none. So we'll hop into our committee reports, and we'll start with street, sidewalk, and lighting with Mrs. Speck.
Thank you, Mr. President. We don't have anything to report tonight. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Ms. Speck. Environmental Health and Social Services, Mrs. Hager.
Thank you, President Greer. We only had miscellaneous discussion. Mrs. Eberhardt had a constituent ask about the emergency siren, if it was still going off. Chief Iona made and will restart in April. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Hager. Planning, Annexation, and Codes, Mr. Heddick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, Annexation, and Codes is calling for the appointment of Mr. Aaron Smith to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025, ending December 31st, 2027. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Heddick. City Properties, Parks, Recreation with Mr. Cheatham.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Properties, Parks, and Recreation met on October 28, 2024 at 18:01 hours. We had one that was called out of legislation. It was a letter from John Patterson requesting legislation to enter into a contract with CXT Incorporated in the amount of $125,000 for restrooms for College Park. That's all we have with that. I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Cheatham. Public Welfare and Safety, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Welfare and Safety met on October 28th, 2024. We had one piece of, or one request for legislation. It was a letter from Jamie Eisman, Safety and Human Resources Director, requesting legislation to accept the tentative agreement with the Barberton Professional Firefighters, IAFF Local 329, effective January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2027. That was voted out of committee, and we had one appointment. Mr. Charles Rector to the Metro RTA Board representing the City of Barberton for a 3-year term beginning 1/1/25 and ending 12/31/2027. And with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Rules, Marketing, Development, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Rules, Marketing, and Development Committee has nothing to report this evening, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Ms. Gerhart. CAD Utilities, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Utilities has nothing to report. With that, I pass.
Mr. Griffin, there is an, or is that not on ours? Yep. Okay. There's a emergency water main replacement legislation. Do you have a copy of that on here?
The start of the Worcester Road.
Worcester West.
1 second.
Yeah, it was.
Apologize. Last week we had Worcester Road West emergency water main replaced and then the contract with Kenmore Construction and Todd Reed talked about it last week and we voted on it and it'll be voted on next week. With that, I'll pass. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Finance and Personnel, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, Finance and Personnel had pending legislation which was voted on, ordinances 97, 98, 99, and 100, all had passed. We also had the second reading of resolution number 87-2024, titled Grant Application, a resolution of the Council of the City of Barberton support in authorizing the mayor to apply to the Barberton Community Foundation for a grant in the amount of $500,000 annually for 25 years. The third reading will be next week. And then this evening, we met at 6:07 here in council chambers. All members of the committee were present, as well as guests as noted and other council members. We had a few requests for legislation, a couple from our finance director, Jeremy Flaker. The first, to reduce the appropriation in the original budget ordinance in the general fund miscellaneous capital budget by $1,300,000 and increase the appropriation in the general fund transfer out budget by $1,300,000. Emergency wording and one reading requested. The next, another request from Director Jeremy Flaker, requesting legislation to appropriate $1,300,000 from the general fund to the water fund. Emergency wording and one reading requested. Another request from Finance Director Jeremy Flaker, requesting legislation to appropriate the $1,300,000 from the unappropriated item of the water fund to the water fund capital budget. Emergency wording in one reading requested. A letter from myself requesting a resolution to honor and give recognition to Paula Callio for all of her hard work here in Barberton. And then we had 2 appointments this evening. We're calling for 2 appointments. The first, Deb Schreiner, to be renewed as a board member to the Barberton Community Foundation for a 3-year term, as well as Justin Chenault as a board member to the Barberton Community Foundation, also for a 3-year term, both beginning January 1st, 2025. Miscellaneous, we discussed water bills coming late due to the mix-up at the printer. There will be no late fees this month. We adjourned at 6:24, and with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That concludes our committee reports. Is there anything from the body? Ms. Beck?
The boxes that have the art on it around the lake, I had been meaning to go and look at them all weekend, but then I saw them this morning. I lost my mind. I love them. They look even better in person. I was actually on the phone with my friend. I'm like, oh my God, have you seen this? So, I'm so happy about that. They're beautiful. I can't wait to see the rest of them. And please vote tomorrow.
All right, anything else? Ms. Gearhart?
I wanted to let Taylor know she did a great job with the chili cook-off for the Magic's Ready to Learn, and I enjoyed getting to volunteer at that, so thank you very much. And then I just feel absolutely ridiculous having to bring this question up, but I did have 3 residents reach out to me. There was a very, very, very loud boom on Saturday night. I typically think it's a firework, but in this instance, I do think it was something else. How do you guys typically answer your residents on the loud booms?
Yeah, I saw.
Call the police. Don't speculate. Make a report.
About
That's
that
it.
one, and yeah, there was a lot of people.
It was
that
loud.
heard it.
Yeah. It was like a house rumbling one.
I was contacted by this. I called dispatch. They check records. It was probably like somewhere around 10 or 10:30, I guess. They received no calls whatsoever about this. So,
Because people just go to Facebook.
and this would be Norton and Barberton dispatch. They received 0 calls. So,
Okay.
whether people
So future booms, they just need to
So-
make sure they're calling the police.
whether they've been accustomed to it or what, but that's nobody calls the police.
There is a bigger thing here with that, Ms. Gerhart, that things need to be recorded in order for legal or the city to take action if it becomes an issue. And if things are not recorded, then they can't do anything.
Okay.
So make sure that if it's that big of a deal, that
Okay.
as it sounded like,
Yeah,
that
it
call,
sounded
they don't have to call 911. There's a non-emergency
Non-emergency.
number
Okay.
that you
Oh,
can just
okay.
note it. and-
330-745-2181.
There you go. Yeah. and-
It's not my number. That's the police non-emergency number.
yeah, well,
Yeah, how do they call council people before police is beyond me, but I
I've
wasn't
been there.
sure how to,
Why are you
It
calling me?
yeah.
But they do, so just direct them that way.
Okay.
Is there anything else from council? All right. Just a reminder that next Monday is Veterans Day, November 11th. I believe that there'll be a ceremony at the memorial, right, Mayor?
VFW.
At 11? VFW?
Well, it's at the memorial, but the VFW is putting it on.
Correct, at 11? Are they doing it at 11
It's-
again? 11,
as far as I
11,
know,
11?
yeah.
It's always at 11.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So there'll be that. So since it is Veterans Day, there'll be no council on Monday. It will be shifted to November 12th, which is a Tuesday, and that will be our regular legislative meeting. I have, actually, be sure to get out and vote. On that note, I do believe that some polling locations, so if you have residents call about tomorrow, direct them to the Board of Elections, but I believe some polling locations changed, and it's still updated on the website as being the wrong location. But there was cards that went out, so just make sure that if you do get phone calls with people that are standing at their old polling location and it's not open, that they call the Board of Election to figure out where they need to go. Okay, I don't have anything else, so Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, just kind of reiterate, if anything happens, please call the police. I don't know why people call council members when it's something like this, or they get on social media, ring door apps, what was that sound, whatever it is, call the police. And I see it all the time, whether it's a traffic accident. Hey, there's a traffic accident. Let me videotape it instead of calling for help. I don't know why that happens, but same thing as the president said, police, no one can do anything if it's not reported. So, utility boxes, thank you. We were able to get 3 of the larger utility boxes at the lake wrapped. We have plans for additional utility boxes. Some of them at the lake are very small, so it really didn't, or they're hidden, so it didn't make sense to do some of those. Plan is to finish up at Lake Anna in the springtime, despite the fact it's going to be 70 degrees here in the first week of November, but also then spread out from there with some of the larger utility boxes. So a lot of talented artists in the area here. Kind of reiterating some other comments, I want to thank everyone that participated in the Magic's Ready to Learn chili cook-off this past weekend. Kind of perfect weather. It was a little cool, so the chili was good. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the Noon Kiwanis. They had me speak last week at their meeting. Always a great opportunity to kind of explain what's going on in the city and also answer questions from their members. Change for Change in November is the 22nd, Friday the 22nd, at the Green Diamond, benefiting the Reynolds Classic Stroke Awareness. Last week I did meet with Congresswoman Sykes' office concerning needs in our community and ways her office can help. So they're taking that information, doing some research, see if there's any funds available for anything that we discussed. Last week, we also welcomed the expansion of Magic City Motor Cars. So I want to thank the council members that were able to attend, and also State Representative Bill Romer was there, Main Street Barberton, and the South Summit Chamber of Commerce. It's always good to see a family-owned, good business that's expanding in town. I think this was their 3rd expansion since I've been mayor, so it's great to see that. This week we have some important meetings surrounding infrastructure throughout the city, homelessness, and economic development. So I have some updates on those in the coming weeks. As mentioned, tomorrow is election day. Get out and vote. Good luck to the candidates, and also remember that school is closed as well, so the kids will be out and about. And then, as mentioned, next Monday is Veterans Day. City building will be closed. We'll be meeting around 11 a.m. at Military Honor Roll. So if you like your freedom, think of that. That's all I have, unless there's any questions. Yes. I won't give you that look.
See, thank you. I got a nice smile from the mayor that I asked questions. Could I just ask again, you guys invite the council members to the ribbon cuttings, because I know we enjoyed getting to be there.
Yeah, we try. If we didn't get that message out, apologize. We've had some staff things going on.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Can we just appoint that to somebody's, that's their task when these things are planned, like,
well, if that
tell
person isn't
people.
here, then that task may not get done.
Yeah, I feel
So,
like
yeah.
maybe there's not a communication, like, that is your task to do.
And we try to get that out. I mean, we truly do. And, there's a lot of communication between Main Street, South Summit Chamber, getting everything put together.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Lots of people, lots of different organizations putting this together.
Well, I guess so the city's taking that responsibility on, and we try to get that word out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Taylor.
Oh.
Real quick, I know somebody brought up, I think Ms. Beck brought up something about leaf pickup. And I was asked by a resident in Ward 6 if they could start, if they could move Ward 6 up closer to November, the beginning of November. We have lots of piles. I do know that. I know in previous years, it seemed like the guys were over there a lot sooner than the first week of December.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a tentative schedule. They can move a lot quicker. They can move a lot slower. Have to give some type of time frame.
Right.
But I'll also tell you that the homeowner on Austin Drive is saying the same thing. The homeowner on East Tusk is saying the same thing. But again, that's a tentative schedule.
Okay.
So, because we've had people call and say, hey, my week's not until this week. Can I go ahead and put leaves out? Yes. I mean, get them out there as soon as possible. But unfortunately, with the wind and everything,
Yeah.
maybe doing it a couple times.
We have some huge piles.
Yeah. I know
I mean,
sometimes
I
it's
think Josh could attest to that.
impassable.
Yeah. Well, they were out in Ward 1 today, so they were out picking them up today.
Oh, yeah.
And if they miss you, or you miss them, they will come back around.
Yep.
They do have to, if it becomes cold and icy and snowy, they do have to go out and take care of that first, and they will come back when they can, even if that's in the springtime. So,
I've seen him make several trips
yeah.
in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the thing also is we don't have a dump truck for asphalt and a different dump truck for leaves and a different dump truck for snow and ice. So we have to convert all these with plows and all that, which takes a little bit of time, but they'll get out there and take care of it. I think this past year, we got out in March and cleaned up for a resident, so.
I just kind of wanted to piggyback on what Mr. Harris had said about Ward 6, like 37th Street is almost hard to navigate, especially if there's another car coming in the other direction, just since that is kind of a main road in that neighborhood. So that's definitely one. But if I do recall last year, they were in our neighborhood probably 4 or 5 times, just sporadically. So I imagine it'll be the same this year. So I just, like he said, I just tell everybody, just get them out there. You know, I know we're scheduled for this, but they'll probably get picked up soon, so.
I mean, unfortunately, not all the leaves fall at the same time, and, you know, everyone's schedule is busy, so getting them to the curb isn't a one-shot deal. So, that's-
How many leaf conversion things do we have to make pickup, like, trucks?
4? We have 2 separate.
I would have to ask. I know we have 2 tags and 2 vacuum machines.
Yeah.
And then I believe everything else is done with the leaf pusher and open dump bed.
Yeah, so they'll pick them up. I mean, they'll get them any way they can.
Okay.
Yes.
Mayor, on that note, typically they have self-drop-off too as well. Is that down at Newton Park again, as it always is?
Newton, Edgewood, and Tuscarora.
Edgewood and Tuscaloosa, okay.
So those are already set up, and there's piles at both of those.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yep. Do you have a question, Mr. Heidi? No. All right, is that it? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. With nothing else, this meeting is adjourned at 6:43 PM.
They get too much.